It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Baseball.
All right, SKOR North Twins Show. We got our guy Doogie with us here on a Monday. I know we typically do State of the Twins. Doogs was originally going to be without power for like 48 hours, so we threw a curveball into the SKOR North Twins Show plans. Plus, it's trade deadline week, so we may as well just get ahead of this stuff. We've been updating you guys throughout the week on the SKOR North Twins Show, so for the latest trades, the latest news, hit the like button, subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. 5-star rating on the podcast side. Doogs, what have you been hearing? What's been percolating behind the scenes here? I know Derek Falvey spoke yesterday, basically being very non-committal on what they are going to do, buying or selling. They are 5 games back in 5.5 games back in the wild card spot. They are looking up at the standings here. They've been the worst team in the American League since June 1st. So I think it's pretty clear what direction you should be taking, even if you think you have a chance of 5.5 games back. I'll phrase this first question to you, Dukes. Over, under 1.5 current players traded on the roster. Over or under?
I will take the over. Yeah, they're not buying Declan. They know they are selling, regardless of whatever Derek Falvey, who I like personally. I have a good relationship with Derek, but I will fully acknowledge he is as good as anybody with the word salad. And over the weekend, you read those quotes, you're like, what the heck is he alluding to? What the heck is he talking about? The front office, Derek running the ship, but Sean Johnson, Jeremy Zoll, others fully aware what they need to do. When you lose a series to the Rockies, then you lose a series to the Nationals, although it was after the Denver series, the Colorado series, that they knew heading into the series opener against the Dodgers this time last week, that was the conclusion. Declan, you said it. I mean, 12th place out of 15 teams in the American League. You are not climbing over 3, 4, 5 teams to capture the 6th seed, the 3rd wild card. It's not happening. They are on their way to missing the playoffs for the 4th time in the last 5 years. So you're looking at these pending free agents or guys that are not under contract for next year. Willie Castro, Danny Coulomb, Harrison Bader. You can get something also for Chris Paddock. So I will take the over on the 1.5 number, Declan. To me, the question is, what are these final offers in the next 48 to 72 hours on Griffin Jax, on Duran? Are you getting a really good offer, a Tanner Scott-esque offer? So you think about last year at the deadline. Tanner Scott is moved by the Marlins. Pending free agent. So unlike Jax and Duran, who are under contractual control well beyond this year, the Marlins got a haul for a pending free agent. If a deal like that gets offered, I would not be shocked if one of those guys, I don't foresee both of them, but I would not be shocked if one goes. But it'll take that sort of package. But those pending free agents, now, hey, I get it. Ty France, pending free agent. Christian Vasquez, pending free agent. I don't sense there's a market for those guys, although I do wonder a little bit if the Mariners, they're giving up prospect 38 in their pipeline, but maybe some interest in a platoon acquiring Josh Naylor. So maybe Ty France has a spot back in Seattle. So I would even look at a name like Ty France. I can't imagine there's a market for Christian Vasquez. I get it. The Padres are looking for a catcher, but there's no way the Padres are looking at Christian Vasquez. I will be shocked if the Padres say, okay, that's the catcher that we are targeting. But those other names, Bader, Coulomb, and Castro, all make sense to me to be moved.
Can we just real quick highlight the word salad? Just a quick little side street.
Yeah,
here.
oh yeah.
This quote, the credit to Bring Me the News, Bring Me the Sports on Twitter here for putting together a nice little graphic quote box. And what I'm about to read you is the perfect summation or amalgamation of 8 years of Derek Falvey quotes, where he just pieces things together in corporate speak and fills space without actually saying anything. And I get it. You're trying to preserve some level of competitive advantage, but I don't know that the Twins have some proprietary secret sauce for how to get to 80 wins every year. So it's a little pretentious, but he said the job is to evaluate what comes our way and navigate in any direction possible. We still feel like there's a lot of talent on this roster, which that's a fact, I've never considered a label on what we do here, and that's going to be our deadline every year. Quite frankly, I've never pivoted from that. Okay.
Well, I mean, they're selling. So,
no, Doogie,
that quote,
they're not. They don't put a label on things.
Ever you want to, but they are selling. Now, hey, I'm with him. Like Phil, preseason, I hit the over of 84.5 wins. So stupid me for buying the idea that Royce Lewis would bounce back, that Brooks Lee would certainly bounce back, Matt Wallner go up and down the list. This is not all tied to Pablo Lopez, right? Like there's other years where you might say, okay, multiple injuries, some bad luck, whatever it might be. Like to me, this is just not a good baseball team. It's just not. Starting early in the season with all those throwing errors by the pitchers, just some idiotic decision-making, allowing an extra base, not taking an extra base, so not a good base running team. Just go up and down the list. Baseball IQ that this team has been lacking. But I'll fully admit, I was wrong. I thought they would be pretty darn good. I thought they would be a playoff team. So I completely struck out on that front.
They're a very dumb team. They're a very dumb team. They have now quit. This weekend was disgusting. This team drives me nuts, which is why I have moved on.
Well, can I stop you though, Jed?
Yeah.
Define quit. Because I'm not going to offer a ton of blowback, but just define quit. Like, was the scouting report on Sunday, because I know Jake Irvin as well as anyone, throws a ton of strikes.
Yeah.
So was the scouting report swing early? So Willie Castro has 4 at-bats on Sunday for a total of about 6 pitches. I might be off by 1, but Willie Castro didn't see a whole lot of pitches on Sunday. But
their at-bats
was
Sunday
he
were
told, hey, attack early? Like, I get it. Like, Jake
Rocco
Irvin
said he didn't like the at-bats,
in baseball, and those first inning at-bats yesterday were pathetic. But I'm just saying,
Rocco didn't like the at-bats. Yes. No, they were not instructed. Rocco flat out said he didn't like the at-bats.
Okay.
No, they've given up. They've given up. And I'm so disgusted that I have moved on. So here's what I'd like to paint. I would like to paint a picture of what the trade deadline means to the future. And that future might not include Baldelli. It might not include Falvey. But for 1 second, I'm going to assume Rob Manfred's not lying. I'm going to assume that the Twins are close to being sold, that it's on track, okay? Which I think is pretty damn exciting. If you sell the Twins to a person who actually cares a lot, like this is going to go from, I don't really give a crap about this team to, oh, I'm very interested. Also, the American League Central has again now, and especially with Detroit reeling, the American League Central again has turned into a cesspool of just pretty much crap and or mediocre teams. So let me paint it this way. I want Derek Falvey, as I wrote on my Substack, I think Falvey's best move is to actually look to make a move, but he doesn't want to, you do not want to hit the detonate, because if you hit the detonate, you are basically telling the new person who Falvey might not know at this point, hey, look, I blew up the whole thing in 2020. It's going to be fun. I hope I survive until then. So here's what I think. Number 1, I trade Jax or Duran. If you get incredible offers for both, I consider that. But I definitely trade one of those two. I think that gets you, teams are desperate for bullpen help. And as Royce always says, and he's right, you can find, like a year from now, if the Twins are competitive, you could go out and get a bullpen arm for prospects, which you're going to have more of. But the other thing is, I position this, and I don't care who the GM is, I position this as when the new owner comes in, let's get Joe Ryan locked up. Let's get him signed to an extension. Like your first big move is we're keeping a guy that the Twins traditionally don't keep. So I actually don't think that the future, if it's bought by the right person, is really, really bleak. But I also think Falvey needs to operate from, because my last point on Ryan was this. If you trade Joe, and by the way, you're going to get prospects back. You might get a bunch of them back, but as Plouffe and Phil always say, they're lottery tickets. If you trade Joe, you are trading the Monet of your tenure as GM. Your finest hour was Nelson Cruz for a prospect at the time, but he's proven to be really good. Like, I'm riding Joe out here. So I think the future might not be all that bleak. And quite frankly, I do not care if that involves Falvey, Baldelli, whomever it involves. I think you can put yourself on a pretty good course to be competitive a year from now.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I would not detonate this thing. Yeah, I mean, look at the American League as a whole.
Yeah.
Like all the best teams are in the National League. Now I get it could pivot next year, but I mean, that's the really unfortunate thing, that if the Twins played close to their capability, they might be right there with Toronto for the best record in the league. Like, to me, there's nobody in the American League where I'm like, whoa, oh my God, right? Like, the American League is completely wide open. There is no Joe Ryan trade steam on my end. I see him here. Now, our team's asking, like, you can add the Mets to the list, right? I know the Red Sox have been out there. The Mets are fans, I'm told, of Joe Ryan. But I've not heard of the Twins aggressively looking to move Joe. I see Joe here on Friday. I'm with you, though, Judd. At some point, ramp up extension talks. That hasn't happened yet. I would lock him up. I'm a big Joe Ryan fan. I want Joe Ryan here for a while. That's why I say on the relievers, like, you get a Tanner Scott-esque package, you have to move one of those guys. I get it not moving both, but you move one. You can find relievers. Louis Varland, right? Like, Louis, tremendous story. Not that they're moving Louis, but you could sell high on Louis right now, right? But that's an example. You can find relievers. You absolutely could make a move next July if you're in it for a reliever, if you need one, or perhaps even two. Like, you can find relievers. So to me, yeah, Jackson Duran, the right offer comes in. It has to be a big one, but I think they would make that move. They would move one of those two. But otherwise, yeah, all eyes should be on 2026. Now, maybe I'm too bullish on some of these prospects. Declan, you can talk me off the ledge, but like Kalen Culpepper is going to be, I think, a pretty darn good big leaguer. I get it, Walker Jenkins, injury issues, Emmanuel Rodriguez, injury issues. So there's some injury question marks across the board, but I like a lot of these prospects. Now, arms-wise, yeah, maybe a couple of those guys are still a couple years out. But yeah, to me, like, I don't see the Central next year as being, Detroit and then everybody else is absolutely chasing Detroit. Yeah, I think Detroit would probably go in next year as the favorite. But Kansas City, Cleveland, the White Sox, the Twins, I don't think they're that far. Maybe Chicago is, but I don't think those teams are that far from Detroit. So yeah, and put it this way, Judd, regardless of what I think, just taking the temperature of the Twins front office, my sense is they align with your thoughts that they can be competitive next year. The idea isn't to blow this thing up in the next 72 hours.
Yeah, and let me add a layer to this. That I think I have a hard time even getting excited about, okay, how could you, there's still talent here. How could you make a couple tweaks, sell a little bit, and push some chips into 2026 and maybe have some better health luck? Like, that sounds great. But if you zoom up to 30,000 feet, 8 years of the Derek Falvey regime, most of that also including Rocco as the appointed manager and leader of the development. I mean, the major league level of development and culture building and maximizing talent, right? And over those 8 years, per 162 games, this team wins 79 of them. So we have almost a decade of track record here. And it's like a 79, 80 win product, even when there's talent. And there's been some major red flags leading into important deadlines, trade deadlines and end of the season deadlines the last few years. 2022, you're in position to make the playoffs. It's mid-August. What's going to happen? Let's rally together. 16-29 from mid-August. 2024, same thing. 95% chance to make the playoffs. Final push, here we go. 12-27 from mid-August until the end of the season. This year, you win back-to-back years, by the way, 12 and 13 game win streaks on teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, which is historically insane. But you're sitting there, 7 games over 500, big winning streak. Here we go. What needs to happen between the beginning of June and the trade deadline to buy and make a push? 16-28 over that important stretch. So, like, great, you get a couple good young players, but it feels like the operation itself is flawed in a way that prevents even talented teams from maximizing their win potential. And that's the thing that new ownership is going to have to come in and examine with a magnifying glass of, are the right leaders in place to take a team? Every team gets some injury bad luck. You have to plan for that. You have to build for that. So I have a hard time saying like, oh, if you trade these two players and get a couple talented arms that now 2026, like there's a pattern developing over the course of 8 years here, Doogie.
Oh, I think that's completely fair. And yeah, I mean, it can't get worse from an ownership standpoint. I know that Justin Ishbia would have really, really, fired up the fan base, but whoever the lead guy is, and it's going to be a bunch of people tied in to the new ownership group, but whoever that lead dog is, it can't be worse than Joe Pohlad. Now, at this point, Joe is not firing Rocco or giving Derek the green light, or that Derek is seeking permission to fire Rocco. Like, that's not going to happen. So you speak to the new ownership group coming in with that magnifying glass. That's it, right? Like, you need to evaluate, is Derek the guy? What about Jeremy Zoll? What about others in the front office? Then it trickles down to the manager, Rocco Baldelli. But as long as Joe Pohlad is in charge, it's just, I'm not believing that any of that is going to happen.
Derek, by the way, has been a better professional climber and bureaucrat than actual producer of good baseball teams throughout this point in his career. Going back to Cleveland.
Yeah, he should,
like leaving Cleveland to Minnesota.
He shouldn't survive this. Like at the end of the day, I would detonate, just not the roster. The front office, I would totally, the baseball ops thing, I would detonate it. I definitely would. And the thing too is, when I say quit or when the Twins play dumb, that is a reflection on Baldelli as well. Like it's funny. They fired Molitor, who was, I'm sure he had his flaws, but who was one of the smartest baseball people. The acumen on first to third, the acumen on a guy that understood all of these things that we don't think about. And it's been a tutorial, and Baldelli's teams put on a tutorial of everything that probably makes Paul throw up. It's true. Like Paul Molitor that dude understood things I don't even think about in my greatest baseball moments.
Even Molitor acknowledged though, like managing is hard. Like there might have been things that like he did as a player and as a manager that like are quantifiable. You want to see this Twins team too, and I don't fight that at either. But like Molitor even was like, oh my God, this job entails a lot of stuff. I don't think it like. Are you saying that they'd be better if Paul Molitor had remained manager between 2018 and now?
I'm saying that they are such a dumb team that it's a reflection on Baldelli for sure. So they're just not a smart team. They don't make
baseball IQ is definitely lacking.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it starts in the dugout. Like if it was just one player.
We can have the discussion though. Lineup construction, bullpen management, all that stuff. The pregame.
Oh sure. No, I'm talking in game.
Like, how much leeway does the manager truly have?
No. You're right. I'm talking in game.
He doesn't have. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of leeway to do anything outside of the 2:00 meetings in the afternoon.
I'm blowing out everybody, so I'm not defending anyone. I'm detonating the entire baseball ops.
Can I defend Derek to some extent? Like, are you positive Derek didn't want to do some stuff? They win the playoff series in 23, which seems like forever ago. Heck, the 13-game winning streak this year seems like forever ago. Declan, what's their record since the 13-game winning streak? Like, how many games under 500 are
they're 16-28 since early June.
Yeah, they have the worst record.
Okay, so roughly 12, 13, 14 games under 500 since they won 13 consecutive games. It truly is unbelievable.
But what's the offense, Dukes?
Like, are you sure that Derek didn't want to do some stuff that winter, that he was handcuffed?
There's definitely ownership handcuffs to some extent within the economics of baseball. Like, this is where it's funny. I've been hammered over the years for sometimes defending the Pohlads not spending among the top 5 teams in baseball, because until the economic structure of baseball changes, there are some realities baked in here. But Derek, I think Derek, if he was if I could dust off a poker analogy, if at the trade deadline in July over 8 years, Derek is the poker player that will fold every hand so that he doesn't get criticized for making a mistake. He would rather just play it super close to the vest and essentially let the baseball gods ride the season out how they're going to, than make a meaningful trade that might not work. And I think 2022 spooked him a little bit too, because that was the only time in 8 years.
Yes,
they've been contenders for a playoff spot or better most of the 8 years at the trade deadline that he's been here. and only once has he been aggressive. And now maybe your pushback is, well, ownership is saying, hey, we can't take on the extra $15 million in salary for that number 2 starting pitcher that's available. And by the way, no one should be off the hook. I mean, that's an ownership problem, also down to, I think, a front office creativity problem. But then there's this melting down at the end of the season, or melting down after 12 and 13 game win streak portions of the schedule, that just feels like it's baked into the DNA of the players to the field staff. There's too much evidence that the operation has major flaws. And I don't know that you could just point to one person and say it's that person's fault. But when you are the leader, the ownership, and then, by the way, not only the chief baseball officer, but now heading the business operations too, like you are the most powerful non-Polad. You are the leader of some messy seasons here. So there's a lot of evidence to say that it's not working well under the Derek Falvey leadership.
Hey, Dukes, here's a question about off of what Phil was just talking about, okay? So baseball is a constantly, and this is actually cool, baseball is a constantly evolving sport, right? Rules are being tweaked, things are being changed. I mean, Theo Epstein, to his credit, came in and made some changes and was sort of ahead of the curve. Billy Beane back with the A's at the time. Where have the Twins, with these supposed geniuses, when have the Twins been ahead of the curve? When have the Twins said, you know what, stolen base is going to come back, so we need to be able to run? When have the Twins said this change is going to affect this game? Like if we're going to go down this path, which, by the way, I am fine with. We can call them nerds, we can call them geeks, but if you win games, you love them. So when have the Twins, under the Falvey regime, made moves that said, oh, they realize that baseball is trying to de-emphasize the home run, including, by the way, having the laces be higher this season, so we're going to have to run more. We're going to have to steal bases. We're going to have to be like this. When has the Derek Falvey-led Twins been on the cutting edge of where baseball is going and not, 8th in the race, way back against the pole, against the post in the horse race, as inevitably somebody else wins that race?
Could we argue 2019, the Bomba squad? Now,
but that's what I'm saying. They didn't evolve.
But just some forward thinking heading into that 2019 season. I get where you're coming from, though, so I don't have a lot of resistance to offer. I don't. Now, Phil, to me, it's more not necessarily Derek at the trade deadline. More so, I'm talking like right after the 23 season. The momentum of the Blue Jays playoff victory. Okay, Houston eliminates you, but some tweaks, like you could have felt really, really good heading into the 24 season. And I'm just suggesting, was the front office handcuffed in that moment?
Yes.
That winter. Not so much the trade deadline. Do I think the 22 trade deadline, though, spooks him? Absolutely. Now, this year, it's much easier, right? Like, you give up, especially these pending free agents, roll the dice. Maybe you can hit on another Joe Ryan type prospect. But yeah, they are lottery tickets. You're right about that. Trevor Plouffe's right about that. A lot of these guys, won't amount to anything. But like, you're not bringing these guys back anyway. Or if you want to, you can re-sign Danny Coulombe in the winter if you want to. It's not against the rules. So why wouldn't you trade all these pending free agents? So to me, it's easier now. But yeah, like if they were in buying mode, let's say they were 6 or 7 games better. Yeah, I think absolutely the 22 deadline, when you swing and miss on not one but two, Jorge Lopez and Tyler Mahle, not one but two, how would you not be spooked by that? By the way, on the ever-evolving rules, this doesn't change any of the dialogue here, but I'm still upset by Wednesday and the fact that a check swing is not reviewable. Like, the Twins won that game. They won that series in LA. Mookie Betts swung. That was absolutely a swing. That needs to be reviewable. They need to fix that this winter. Again,
how about Griffin Jacks gets the out?
About the last 20 minutes of this conversation.
How about Griffin Jacks gets the out? Come on.
Sure, and there were a lot of things that happened thereafter. I am with you on that. But I'm just saying, can we review check swings? We review so much. Why can't a check swing be reviewable? I'd like to see Major League Baseball fix that this winter.
Another lap with Doogie here in just a sec, but a shout out to Grandpa's Barbecue. So if it's trade deadline season and you want to be buyers on the barbecue market, you should go to grandpasbarbecueshop.com. They have dry rubs, they have sauces, plenty of great stuff, plus Free shipping on orders $50 or more. Your proceeds also help benefit xeroderma pigmentosum, which helps fight a UV light disorder that affects people. So your proceeds are going to a good cause. Go to grandpasbarbecueshop.com to stock up on all of those barbecue needs.
North American Banking Company powering the trade deadline week here on the SKOR North Twins Show as well. Minnesota-based since 1998. And if you're looking for just a more personable connection with the company that houses your money, North American Banking Company, a lot of friendly, knowledgeable people. Again, you can walk into one of the 6 locations in the Twin Cities and just get to know the people that manage your finances. They prioritize the safety and security of accounts as well with their cutting-edge online tools. So you can find out more about a potential better banking experience at nabankco.com/Mackey. That's nabankco.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender desk.
Some of the latest rumors that came by last night and yesterday, and I think even trickling in today, the Astros having interest in Willie Castro, which makes a ton of sense. They are deficient at left field and second base. Obviously, Willie can play both of those positions. The Dodgers expressing interest in Harrison Bader. Here's an idea, and I talked about it a little bit on Extra Innings yesterday on a solo episode. Dustin May has been made available by the Dodgers in possible trades. Now, Dustin May is entering free agency. He's a rental. He has battled a ton of injuries, maybe might not be the pitcher he was when he first bursted onto the scene and helped them win a World Series 5 years ago. But would you rather take Dustin May back in a trade than take some lottery tickets? Again, you have to bank on that. Can Dustin May be a serviceable starting pitcher again? This year hasn't gone so well, but would you rather have the known commodity in Dustin May versus the mystery box prospect ticket in the Dodgers, I guess, Dukes? Which one would you rather take if you were maybe to ship out Bader? Because you're really only going to get, a 15th organizational prospect probably for Harrison Bader. I don't think you're going to get a top 10 one. So would you rather do that, take Dustin May back, or would you rather get a prospect pool and see what happens with it?
I'll fully admit I did not realize that May was a free agent this winter. Thought he still maybe had at least 1 year.
Yeah, he's a free agent in 2 months
remaining. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's a free agent, I'll take the lottery ticket. What are you paying May? Is he re-signing? Does he want to be here? I mean, you're not making the playoffs, right? So It's not like you need May to help you win games in August and September. I'd rather give those innings to a young guy like, Raya or you name, whoever that might be that hasn't been up. Like Adams, whatever. He's a body. I did see on the transactions wire, the Twins did send him down after his lengthy appearance on Sunday. So the Twins will make a roster move later today. But yeah, I think I'd rather see Raya or you name, the youngster over May making starts for the Twins in August and September. So yeah, the fact that he's a pending free agent, I did not realize that until you said that. So thank you, but I don't need to be moving on a guy that's a pending free agent.
What do we think the ask for is for, and it's probably a little bit different because my sense is Duran obviously has more value than Jax, but what do we think you can get back in a trade for one of those two? Because that is where the lottery ticket of pitching, if I can get a couple of arms back, again, I'll go back to it. Derek Falvey's finest moment for a guy that was known for just wait for the pitching pipeline to open up is Joe Ryan. So, and when they got Joe, it's not like we're all like, oh, Joe Ryan, man, top draft pick. I remember him. We didn't know. So what is the realistic, do you guys think, return for, let's say it's Duran from a contender who needs bullpen help?
I think you're moving him only if you're getting two, in the ballpark of top 100 prospects, including one pitcher. So I don't think you're moving him for two position players. Now, I'll also add, Sean Johnson has talked to me about this. The catching depth in the organization is lacking. Heck, catching depth across the world has been lacking. But if an organization has a tempting catching prospect, that is something the Twins will take a look at.
I would actually, and Jim Bowden had this proposal today, and he said both teams would say yes to this. So the Twins would get Harry Ford, who is the top catching prospect. He's in Seattle, behind Cal Raleigh. He's not going to be playing anytime soon. Legitimate power, one of the 50 best prospects in baseball. And they'd also get Logan Evans, who's just he's a serviceable starting pitcher. He's 24, so there might be some upside there, but they get a legit starting pitcher back, they would get a really good catching prospect in Harry Ford. The Mariners would get Duran and Griffin Jacks or Willie Castro. That's the proposal. He said both teams would say yes. If the Mariners were to land both Duran and Jacks with this trade idea, they would win the AL West, have a legitimate shot at the World Series. For the Twins, if they like Ford's bat enough, it would be tough to not accept this offer. Evans would give them starting pitching depth, and they would control Ford for 6 years. So that is a proposal that at least former GM Jim Bowden would say both teams say yes to that.
I'd make him kick in Jerry DePoto, and it's a deal.
Yeah, I think the Mariners need to add a touch more, especially if it's the two relievers.
Right.
Maybe Duran plus Castro, depending on how much you love Ford.
Right.
Still tempted to think you need a little bit more, like Duran for those two. Okay, just Duran. Duran and Jacks?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. Knowing Falvey, I mean, if the Twins did that deal, it would be at 4:58 Central on Thursday. Like just scouring the market, figuring out, okay, this is legitimately the best offer. 2 minutes to go or 5, whatever. Okay, let's say yes. But I think Seattle needs to kick in more if you're moving both relievers.
I could see
it's not far, though, from something that makes some sense.
Mm-hmm. We'll be live to reacting to any of those trades that do happen on deadline.
The Mariners
day,
were in over the weekend, by the way, for whatever that's worth, because teams do their scouting via video. There's a million ways to scout, but the Mariners were among teams that had a scout at Target Field over the weekend.
Dukes, any final things in the Twin scoop back here? I think Luke Keeschall probably coming back maybe this homestand. Bailey Ober will be back. He'll start
move Castro, bring Keeschall back, right? I mean, you move Castro this week. Keeschall takes that roster spot. Yeah, I mean, he's ready at this point. Good for him. We thought, late July, early August. Yeah, I mean, it's time for Luke Keeschall to play a ton in August and September. So, yeah, the Mariners were in over the weekend. Dex, I know you put something out on social media on Friday, but in case people didn't see it, these teams have had scouts in this month. So the Yankees, the Phillies, multiple scouts for the Phillies, the Rays, Padres, Reds, Rangers, Mariners that I'm aware of. But, yeah, Houston, just because Houston hasn't had a scout here this month doesn't mean they didn't have a scout at Dodger Stadium or at Coors Field. I mean, the Astros are doing their due diligence. Certainly the Mets and Dodgers are doing their homework. Like, you mentioned the Dodgers with Harrison Bader. The Mets would be another team to keep an eye on Bader. The Mets would love Byron Buxton. I'm just telling you that. But Buck's not waiving his no trade. So I don't foresee a Buxton trade happening. But, yeah, the Mets are absolutely looking for an outfielder. So keep an eye on Bader, who has some history with the Mets. The Mets having some interest there.
How about Correa? Like the Mets damn near signed him. I'd be happy to send him there. Back to go play third base.
Now, if they were worried about his health 3 years ago, yeah. I'm curious to see what they would say now.
I'll give him to you. It's a reasonable contract.
You guys look at the numbers closer than I. I mean, we can destroy Correa. Don't get me wrong. But how much bad luck is there? Like, I saw him barrel up some balls yesterday.
Oh, boy.
That were hit right to fielders. Is there some bad luck there? I'm just asking.
Baseball.
Well, let's open the BABIP files here. So his career batting average on balls in play is 314. His batting average on balls in play this year is 314.
Oh, okay. Nice. Good.
It all evens out in the end.
Yeah, bad luck is old.
If he was sitting at 190, I'd say, oh yeah, okay. There's like 100 points in BABIP bad luck there, but it's really like it's the lack of power. He's never been a super powerful guy, and then the high leverage clutch stuff has been awful, pretty bad.
Awful.
I mean, that's an understatement, right? I mean, it's been completely lacking.
Yeah,
there just hasn't been enough of those Correa clutch moments.
Extra innings episodes coming up from Target Field this week too, before the trade deadline hits on Thursday. Hit the like button, subscribe button. That's Doogie. We'll chat with him also later this week. Appreciate you, Dukes. Thank you, buddy.
All right, boys. Thank you for the flexibility.
Bye, Darren.
Bonded. Vikings camp later today. See you in a little bit.
Perfect. Appreciate you, Dukes. Talk at you later this week.
See you, boys.